So we'll try this 360. I have tried to do this review, I don't know how many times now. I've ended up with issues with the keyboard, this and that, and it's been my favorite laptop, but it's also become a pain. But that's what makes it interesting sometimes. I did get a lot of the parts to fix the floppy drive caddy from another donor laptop that got cracked in shipping that I showed an earlier video on. And believe it or not, I'm probably going to try to save that somehow. I don't know how yet, but it's going to require some epoxy work to fix the corner and get it kind of back into a decent condition. But it's like the knight in Monty Python. It just wants to live.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar!
Come on, you pansy!
So I don't really want to part it out. I just don't have the heart for it. So let's just remember, opening these style laptops, support your finger right here. I don't know why that's a weak point, but that is one of the fallacies, and obviously there's a few others, but these do have nice feeling keyboards. The keyboards are just, they feel good. It's rubber dome, but it's just a pleasant keyboard to type on, and it's just fun to, and then you got this Star Trek-ish, all these lights going off like 1960s Star Trek with Shatner. It's like, that's cool. But I mean, I'm just gonna type gibberish here, but yeah, it's even clicky. I mean, I'm not even hitting the keys that hard. It hits the back plate and just makes this, and it does have a metal back plate on it. And I did replace the backing on the keyboard and use the one that I had because the keys are not as worn as the other one was, and and it just matched the plastic better. I don't know why the plastic was a little different or whatever, but it is a different model of a circuit board, I guess, but the keyboards are all pretty much the same. I think some of them are made in Mexico, some Canada, some here or there or wherever, but this keyboard, I mean, yeah, it works good. And my GH keys work, my Alt Control function keys work, so all's good there. This is the 800 by 600 screen. I'm just going to do a directory listing here, and you can see all the crazy stuff I have on here. And I did enable, and that's through the PS2 function, which is always fun to use on these laptops. I believe it's F8, and that's what it would look like because it's the 800 by 600 screen, and that's what it looks like stretched. And to be honest with you, when you're playing most games, I've compared it to a similar size screen, almost the same exact size, that uses a 640 by 480 on many DOS games, and I don't see where the scaling is honestly that bad. I mean, unless your eyes are that good, and I mean, my eyes aren't the best, but I really can't see the difference. The one I can is that new Toshiba I've been working on. It is sharp. That is a sharp display. I think some of these, as they get older, they do lose their clarity. So let's just take a look at a quick game here, and we're not going to make this video too long because it is late at night and I need to get some sleep, but it's the only time of night I can really get stuff done. So let's just go into Space Quest and check out Space Quest 3. And somebody can answer this for me. Why is it SC4? Wouldn't it be SC3? But it is indeed Space, unless there was one in between. Sound card sounds great. It does uses the Sound Blaster emulation. Okay, so cool. Yeah, we got that. And I'm not playing the game or anything. It does go into Windows. I need a stripped down version of Windows. And it's basically everything I would want in a laptop. One thing is these older IBMs and with any of these old retro laptops, you want to bring them to a bar and be, one of those people that kind of, hey, I'm pulling out my retro laptop and typing out a book on. I don't know if I could recommend these ThinkPads because they do require proper storage, and you got to be careful because the plastics, especially on really any old retro laptop, they they're just brittle. I mean, just things go out on them constantly. They're not really fully dependable. This has been fitted with the, and I've said it in the past, with the CF card, so it does not use any type of spinner drive anymore. And it does have a working battery. I mean, curiously enough, it can hold a charge 15 minutes. It can hold a charge an hour. So it's very cool there. And I would go into the boot menu, and if anybody wants to see that in a future video, and I can go a little more detail on some of the functions on it, but it has this cool little interface, and honestly doesn't do much for a BIOS other than some diagnostics and just a couple settings. But it's kind of neat because it's got the icons. One of them's like a little bird, and you know, it's got like, and one's a little like screwdriver thing, and different menus you go through, and it does use the mouse to control it. So it's an interesting menu, comparing it to like even the Toshiba of the same era, the 400 CDT, where it's all text based. Overall, I have to give this laptop 2 thumbs up, because it is just, and this was one I don't know how I found it or whatever. It's just nearly in pristine shape. Out of a 10 possible, it's probably every bit of a 9 out of 10 for its age and era. There's a couple little things on it, but that's what gives it character. It's kind of one of these things that these laptops had character to them. And yeah, they'd go down. You had problems with the hard drive, but if you modernize them a little bit and put your CF card in there and make it more like a solid state type unit, they are quite dependable for DOS gaming. And I will go on a future video of some of the DOS emulators I'm using on here, like the Commodore 64, NES, Atari. The earlier emulators that are maybe not as good as probably not as good as the newer ones, but it is definitely a fun thing to get into. And when you go in, I'll just do one real quick before I go here, and just go into this emulator, which I believe is called the CCS64. It's the first version. I don't care for the second one, and the second one didn't have any improvements over the first one, but I mean, it pretty much turns this thing into a Commodore 64. And yeah, okay, the text don't look quite right or whatever, but once you get into gaming, I can't see much of a difference. It's just load your program and you know, do whatever. It won't even let you hit the I button. Oh, and the G and H do work. As I said, I replaced the keyboard, so I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not. So I'm gonna actually scroll all the way down if I want to get, you know, some type of thing going, and it resets and loads, and it does have the turbo load, I think. And there you go. It's gonna load up into, I think this is the trainer version of Impossible Mission, one of my favorite games. I do plan on doing a couple game reviews, but not very many, and this will probably be on one of them because it is very much an iconic game. So for now, I'm going to leave it at this cool flash. Well, I wanted to leave it at the flashing screen, but apparently it's not going to let me. But we'll just go ahead and leave it with its scratchy, crazy speech synthesis of the time. That it's just one of the early emulators, and I think it had a lot to do with computer speed. That, well, maybe I won't, maybe I will. We'll just do this, and yeah, we'll do that, and just leave it with this craziness of early emulation. Be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe, and that's it for now.